Then there is lightning. We are on lightning now. I cannot say this. I'm going to try the Vargid Polis is a monster, one drop. You can dole it, discard one lightning card, choose one forward, deal it 1k and dole it. Pay one lightning CP, put it into the break zone, choose one forward, deal it 1k and dole it. So this is good with anything that needs things to be doled, especially if you have a lot of cards that can freeze and you just don't have any way to dole them. This thing can essentially dole 2 cards while it's on the field in 1 turn. So that's pretty good. This is also good for that deck that blows up anything that's been damaged. So you can damage 2 cards, dull them, and then play something like Assassin where it blows up cards that have been damaged. So this is pretty good for little niche plays. 8 is a 3-drop forward with 7k. He has haste. When he deals damage to your opponent, choose one cadet, class 0 cadet in the break zone, add it to your hand. At damage 3, he gains 1,000. So if you're going first and they don't have obviously any forwards to block, you play him. You pitch 2 cards, one of them being a class 0 cadet. He deals damage. You get to add a card back to your hand that you already pitched. So essentially you're paying 1 to play him. So that's pretty good. And I mean, this is one of those things that even if they have forwards but they're dull because they attack, you can do that and still get something back mid game to late game. So this card's really good. So yeah, he has his place, has his opportunities, has his moments. But overall, yeah, for sure, a very good card. Scorpion Sentinel, 1 drop, 7k monster. When it becomes a forward, it becomes 7k. When a forward your opponent controls attacks, choose one forward your opponent controls, dull it. Until the end of the turn, Scorpion also becomes a forward with 7k power. This trigger will only happen once per turn. So this is good. This is like a proactive, reactive card. It's one of those things where they have to have essentially 2 forwards for you to capitalize on this, unless the forward has Brave. You can dull the forward that has Brave and then just make this block. Or if they have multiple forwards, you can dull something else. This still has 7k, it can still block. So yeah, it is very niche. It's very dependent on your opponent attacking. So I think it's good because it's a 1 cost. So I can see it being useful, and if you're playing a deck that triggers off of things being dulled, then it's also helps with a lot of things with that as well. So overall, this card's pretty solid. Kuja, 2 drop backup. Pay 1 lightning CP and dull Kuja. Put Kuja and 1 forward into the break zone for cost, 1 forward that you control, and then choose 1 forward, break it. This is okay. This is like kind of borderline. I don't know if it would be a de-evolution or an evolution of the one where he's wearing the wizard hat, and when he hits the field, I believe you can blow up a 2 CP card, and then you can dull him and send him to the break zone and blow up a 2 CP card. Having to get rid of a forward you control kind of sucks unless you steal one of their forwards and then put him into the break zone and then break another one of their forwards. I can see that being a play. But there's not too many cards that steal cards. But hey, I digress. I mean, this also works with the Monad card. You can turn a monster into a forward, send to the break zone. Well, nope. Yeah. Send to the break zone with this, and Monad would trigger at the end phase and then bring back that monster. So you have for sure options with this. It's definitely has its place. Oh, I forgot this one had a full art. Full art's okay. I think this one has a full art too. It's not gonna show it though. Zach, 4-drop, 8K, and this is going to be the box topper. He is a soldier. If you control 3 or more category 7 forwards, Zach gains haste. When Zach attacks, choose one category 7 character of cost 2 or less in your break zone, play it onto the field. Rush Assault, all you have to do is pitch a copy of Zach, choose one forward, break it. You can only use this ability while Zach is attacking. Zach is attacking. So there's right now, I think there's a Cloud, that's a soldier, that's a 2 CP. There's Matt, that's a 2 CP. There's Lucia, that's a 2 CP. So this is one of those things that's gonna bring back soldier cards. There's an Aerith that's a 2 CP. There's a couple things. There's a Yuffie that's a 2 CP, I believe. So he gets better the more 2 CP category 7 cards that they drop. I think there's also a Tifa that's a 2 CP. So yeah, he gets better the more cards that they drop that are 2 CP in the 7 category. So he's going to be one of those cards that probably starts out cheap, and then the more cards that they make that support this, he'll get more expensive over time. But it also depends on if people remember he even exists as a card. So I don't know. I don't know at all. Amarant is a 5-drop 9K forward. He says when he enters the field, deal 5K to all active forwards your opponent controls. That's okay. I mean, once again, like I said, there's a card that blows up all cards that have been damaged or cards that have been damaged. So you play him and then you play that card and then you essentially wipe the field. He just costs a lot, and that's all he's really gonna do is when he hits the field, deal 5K to everything. But if things are already either damaged or on the brink of destruction, this helps. And if you're playing something like Sarah from it's not Hope, Hidden Trials, I believe it was, where there's X amount of 13 forwards on the field, she reduces everything by 5. Hitting them with another 5, it essentially breaks everything. So this could work with that, or there could be other cards down the line that also work with this. Jack is a 4-drop 8K forward with an EX burst. When Jack enters the field, choose one forward your opponent controls, dull it. If you control 5 or more class 0 cadets, break it instead. And then he has a special called Deliverance by ditching a copy of himself, 1 lightning CP, and dulling himself. Choose one forward, break it. I feel like Deliverance will probably be used more than the actual EX ability will. But I could be wrong. I mean, it's probably easier to play him and get 5 than it is to actually have 5 class 0 cadets on the field. But either way, he does it even if you don't have 5, so that helps a little bit. And 8K is nothing to laugh at. So Elite Riot Trooper, this is a 3-drop backup, and it says when it enters the field, select one of the following actions. Choose one forward, cost 2 or less, deal it 7K, or draw a card. I feel like 9 times out of 10 you're probably gonna just be playing this draw. But this does get rid of Zidane, so there's that. It's not, I mean, it gets rid of the lightning. But I don't even think anybody's playing 13 right now. But I know that Zidane's probably going to be played until it can't be played. So, yeah. All right, Sinke or Sinku or Sink if you don't, I don't know. 4-drop backup. When she enters the field, choose one class 0 cadet forward in your break zone. If its cost is equal to or less than the number of class 0 cadets you control, play it on the field. Pay 2 lightning CP, 2 CP of any other element, and dull her, put her into the break zone for the cost. Choose one forward, deal it 9k. So um this is good. I mean, it helps bring back, like, you can bring back something that brings back another thing that brings back something else, and God forbid you can bring back the ace. That would just be wild. So yeah, I could see her having some real good synergy with her counterparts. So I'm interested to see how people come up and develop these cards, or this deck specifically. 7 is a 2-drop backup. You can duel 2 active class 0 cadets. Choose one job class 0 cadet. It gains haste until the end of this turn. And then Sadistic Spikes. Pitch a copy of herself and duel her. Choose one forward. If its cost is equal to or less than the number of class 0 cadets you control, break it. So this is pretty close to Jack. Only difference is Jack is a forward. And I think hers is a little less than his. But you have to have like a specific amount of class 0 cadets in order for this to even work. So this with Jack is probably insane, and probably makes you watch the board a little bit more cautiously. And with her being a 2-drop, this is pretty good, and she can give any of her classmates haste. So yeah, and she also looks like lightning if you didn't know. So there's that. Lightning with the Ivy Whip from Soul Calibur. Soldier Candidate, 2-drop forward, 5k. When Soldier Candidate is put from the field into the break zone, you may pay 1 random CP of whatever element. When you do so, search for one card named Soldier Candidate and play it onto the field. So, if you have something that says if something's broken, do this. You can essentially play this, block if able, pay the CP, play another one, block if able, pay the CP, block if able, and then play another Soldier Candidate. And this kind of just gets however many, whatever you need into the break zone. And since the old Soldier Candidates get power boosted based off having a Soldier Candidate in the break zone, I think this one is adding to the repertoire of the actual Final Fantasy Soldier Candidate deck. And the fact that you can have 3 of these on the board, well, multiple of these on the board, regardless of the element, I think says a lot. Pain without love. Pain, can't get enough. 3-drop, 7k forward. She is a black mage, so this helps out the Black Waltz deck. When Pain enters the field, choose one forward of cost 3 or less your opponent controls, deal it 7k. When a forward your opponent controls is put from the field into the break zone, choose one category 10 forward. It gains haste until the end of the turn. Neither one of these are once per turn abilities, so yeah, this is really good in just really anything, specifically lightning decks, but also in Final Fantasy X decks, because there's things that if you have haste, you could probably win out the game, and just having this present is, I think, really good. They really knocked it out of the park with all these gold wings, but Yuna and Pain in particular are insane, which leads me to believe there's probably eventually going to be a Black Mage Riku, and Riku's cards are pretty nasty all the time, so I can't wait to see what they come up with that. Barla. He is a 3-drop backup. When he enters the field, choose 1 forward in your break zone, add it to your hand, and then you can pay 5 of whatever elemental CP and dole him, put him into the break zone for the cost. Choose 1 forward of cost 4 or less, break it. So, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, obviously 5 to blow something up is pretty good, and he doesn't remove himself from the game, so you could just bring him back if you have the actual resources to do that. So I like it. Just 5 is a little steep. If it was gonna be 4 or less, I feel like it should have been the CP should have been 4. Since you already had to get rid of him, that means you're essentially paying 7 to use this. No, 8 to 9 to use this ability. And I guess if you want to subtract the cards you get back, then it's a little less. But I don't know, man. 5 is still a lot. It's definitely good. And I'm sure it'll definitely pop off when you need it to. But I don't know, man. That 5 is just rough for me. Captain VV, 2-drop backup. When VV enters the field, choose 1 forward, dull it. Then you can pay 1 lightning CP and 1 whatever element CP. Put VV into the break zone. Choose 1 damage forward, break it. And this is what I was talking about. There's cards like this that they just break damage forwards. So this is just a good card. It's just a good backup to have, and with you being able to bring back backups consistently in the Black Mage deck, really any Black Mage in the Black Mage deck, this card is just really good for that. Alright, Dramalek the Wrath. This is a really good card. Before paying the cost to cast, you can remove 1 lightning backup you control from the game to reduce the cost by 2. Deals 7,000 to all forwards your opponent controls, and then he deals you opponent damage. People were whining about the damage back at you, but there's so many ways to reduce the damage taken by stuff like this, and it's not an EX burst, so you don't have to worry about taking the damage as you took damage. He does cost more than the other ones that do stuff like this in this set for whatever reason. I guess because he could potentially blow up the board. But with that, I mean, if you're at damage 2 or 3, this doesn't really hurt you that much, and if it does, then you have a much bigger problem that you're staring down anyway, and he probably won't help you regardless. But for a 3 coster, potentially 5, I see him being a very huge threat to a bunch of powerful decks. Rude. Wait a minute. They did not put the. Why is there 3 different? Okay, whatever. Rude is a 3-drop forward that has 5,000 power. When Rude enters the field, choose 1 job member of the Turks other than Rude in your break zone, add it to the hand. At the beginning of the attack phase during each of your turns, choose 1 forward your opponent controls, dull it. This is cool. I mean, there's so many good Rudes though. Like the ice one's really good because I think it blows up a dull forward when it hits the field, and it's searchable by Reno to be played for free. This lets you get back a Turk, so this is, I mean, like, this is good too. And then it just dulls something every turn. That's kind of weak, so it dies by a lot of things, but broken by a bunch of things. Let's put it that way. But overall, I mean, I like it. And I definitely like the art. That's that kind of mess around and find out look. And with the purples and the blacks, this card, and then Reno's silhouette in the background. Like that Ruby Asami is really killing it with these arts. And then if you look at the actual card, there's like this discolored insignia well, it's not an insignia, but this colored of the border, which means the border is going to be a different color and it's going to sparkle really nicely, just like the Kefka card did. And if you remember the Kefka card, it was like foiled in strips on the full art, and I think the regular art as well. So this, I mean, regardless of everything I just mentioned about the foiling, this card's pretty solid. Oh, okay, I see what's going on. So this one that doesn't have the insignia, this is gonna be the non-foil, and then the foil is gonna have the actual insignia and the silhouette of Reno for Rude and Rude for Reno. So this is the non-foil, this is the foil, and then this is the full art. That's actually freaking crazy. That's insane. That is so cool. That's wild. All right, Reno, 2-drop forward, 5k. When an active forward your opponent controls becomes dull due to your summon or abilities, select up to 2 of the following actions. Choose one job Turk, member of the Turks. It gains haste until the end of the turn. Choose one forward, deal it 4k. And then EM Flail is the special. Just pitch a copy of Reno. Choose one forward and up to one other forward. Duel the farmer and deal the latter 5k. So Reno just popping off shots. Like he going banana pudding, as Lil Wayne would put it. He is doing a whole lot for very little. And if you blow him up, Rude can just bring him back. Well, get him to your hand anyway. And then Song can play both of these for free. If not with Cisne. And then yeah, these two are just nasty, and I'm gonna go back and forth between this one and this one real quick because they're like obviously opposing the opposite of the art, meaning that they're obviously there to connect with each other and be backup for each other. But the fact that he being Rude doles every turn, and Reno can give somebody haste that's a Turk every turn, and then dole something. Not dole something, but shoot something for 4k every time something's doled due to your abilities. And if you have something like the other Zac out, the promo Zac, that anytime something gets doled by an ability, I think it does 3k, and if Angeal's out, it does 5. It does 5, and then if Angeal's out, it does 7. Either way, if you have that combo set up, you're shooting something for 8 to 11k depending on the situation. And I think every time Zac attacks, he does something as well. So yeah, this is like, these Turks are starting to get insane. And they didn't give Elena a new version, like a non-chibi version. I think Elena only has 1 card in the game, so she's probably gonna be a legend and gunslinger in the abyss, and I'm ready to see what she can do because excuse me, that last Cisne that we got, the one that reactivates herself every time a Turk attacks, the Turks is probably gonna be one of the strongest decks in the game if we get a more solid Elena. And then if they ever make the old version of Vincent Valentine into his Turk version, then it's gonna be a wrap. Like, Turks are gonna take over for sure.